Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's special podcast for RGV Canvas Warriors.com. This Tuesday, January the 1st, 2013. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year, everybody.
As always, my name is John Cannon. I am the editor of RGV Canvas Warriors.com. Sitting alongside me to the right, my senior staff writer, Vinny Davis, and our new engineer, Mr. Nate. Guys, welcome again.
Good to be here.
Good to be here. Thank you.
New Year's resolutions, Vinny. So, how's it going so far? You said you're going to be nicer.
Well, it's only been one day.
Okay.
I want to see this.
Now, but does it work so far? For one
yeah,
day
so far I've had a pretty good day.
I'm very proud of you. What about you, Nate? What's your New Year's resolution?
Well, that'll be a hard one. I'd say kind of trying to be nice to people, alongside with Vinny, as well as with you, lose weight.
Yes, I definitely need to lose weight.
I have to this year.
I've been trying to do it for I don't know how many years now. A lot of you guys know. I've tried. I need to do it. That's my goal this year. I've already joined the gym. Been watching what I eat. Now today I didn't because today I cheated. But you know what? I start tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, gonna really try this year. Before we introduce our guest tonight, let's do a recap of last week's show, Vinny.
Okay, last week we had Raul Ramos from STFC come on the show. He was talking about his big event, STFC 24, which is going to be in February. He's got two big title fights. That's going to be Danny Salinas defending his middleweight title against Carlos Diego, and Joseph Daly is going to be defending his title against Frank Trevino. So it should be an exciting matchup. Two big title fights. It sounds like the Super Bowl of MMA to me.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'll tell you what, when Raul had mentioned this to us a couple of weeks ago, I was stoked. I really was and couldn't wait. We talked about every show we get so excited about bringing guys on, but we were real thrilled that he came on and shared that with us, and we had a really good conversation and broke down those fights. And I'll tell you what, I'm expecting a really good crowd that night.
Yeah, and I really can't wait. And also, too, if you go to the website, you can see the story in print. We have it up on the website. You can read it. It talks about a little bit of information about all the fighters involved, and also, too, some information that Raul can't decide who the main event's going to be, so he's going to put that on his Facebook, let the fans decide. Also, too, if you missed last week's podcast, we broke down Border Wars 2. We talked about all the fights that were on the card, talked about some of the fighters that had outstanding performances. You can catch that on our website if you go to rgvcanvaswarriors.com and scroll below the stories. You can see where we have the podcast right there in the middle of the page. You can click on all the past shows. We have 1 through 4 on there already, so you can go back and listen to whatever show that you might have already missed.
It's hard to believe this is already our 5th show.
It's our 5th
Time
show.
flies, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we've been talking about doing this for quite some time, so now looking back at it as like, wow, we're actually doing it, and we've got a couple under our belt. Yeah, it's
let me tell you, Vinny kind of got on me a couple of times because we've been wanting to do this since the summertime, and I'll take the heat for this one, but you know what? Better late than never, you know what I mean?
Yeah, starting the new year off right, I think.
Another thing, before we go any further, we also want to mention we have our Fighter of the Month poll question up now.
We do. Okay. The Fighter of the Month is a thing that we do every month. We take all the fighters that have fought and won, and then we talk about the fighters that are going to be the nominees for Fighter of the Month. This month, in boxing, we have Oscar Tovar Jr., we have Joe Garcia, and we have Ricky Palacios. In MMA, we have Carlos Diego, Clemente Minguito,
yes,
and one more.
Andrew Garza.
Andrew Garza. So those 6 men are all up for Fighter of the Month. You can go to rgvcanvaswarriors.com and click on whoever fighter you want to vote for Fighter of the Month. And Fighter of the Month gets a Q&A.
Yes. We had one Fighter of the Month one time that the numbers were just through
staggering.
the roof.
Yeah, through the roof.
Yeah, we had over 300 votes, I believe, if not more.
Mikey Signs.
Yeah, that was an exciting one. Now, before we jump into this reason why we're doing this special show today, I'm sure everybody knows we always tape on Wednesdays, but tonight we switched to a Tuesday. There's a reason for it, and we're going to get into that. But before we go further and we introduce our guest tonight, Vinny, this past Saturday, Erik Goyito Perez. Since we're talking about MMA, man, the kid made history once again.
Yeah.
Fought in Vegas against Byron Bloodworth, won his third straight fight. First round TKO on the prelims, which was on FX. And I tell you what, this kid, the second time that he fought in the UFC, he made history for the quickest knockout as a bantamweight. Third time, made history again. First bantamweight in the UFC to defeat 3 straight opponents by first round stoppages. This young man, of course, everyone knows he's from Mexico, but he trained here in Weslaco. He's now training out of New Mexico, but we're still going to call him one of our homeboys.
We
you know
claim
what I mean?
him. Yeah, we claim
We
him.
claim him, so too bad. I don't care what anyone else says. We claimed him. Impressive. 3-0 in the UFC, made history twice. Man, you know, we always talk about this young crop knocking down that door. What a way. I mean, man, closed out 2012 strong. We expect a lot of good things from Goyito in 2013.
I think he's an outstanding example of what an athlete can do in the sport of MMA. He's being a great example for these young guys coming up, and they see him fighting on UFC. How can they not think, hey, I can do that too, or man, I want to do that too? And they strive to become better. And I talk to a lot of these young guys, and that's their goal and their aspirations: to fight for Bellator, fight for UFC, fight for these bigger entities, you know, that are out there. Not just stay locally. You know, these local promotions like STFC and then UWF, they're great, and these guys. And Legacy and all that, these guys really appreciate
They open
that.
the door.
Yeah, they open the door, but they're really shooting for the star. Everybody's talking about UFC. Who doesn't want to fight in UFC?
Exactly. So we're definitely going to keep up with him. Also, I've got a recap. I can actually take pride in saying that I was the first one to break a recap on this. So, not to tap myself on the shoulder, but thanks, Nate. I appreciate that.
We need all the help we can get.
Anyway, looking forward to talking to Goyito. Had a little talk with him. And he's excited. He's looking forward again to his next fight. So keep up. You know, go to RGVCanvasWarriors.com. We've got a recap on him as well. And look forward to talking to him here in the near future. Guys, okay, let's jump right into this. Before we begin, we want to welcome in our special guest tonight, trainer James Gogue, who obviously is our official trainer for RGVCanvasWarriors.com, as well as a very close and personal friend of mine, the guy that got me going in the business, Mr. Anthony Cavazos of Cavazos Boxing. Guys, thank you for coming in. It's great to have you here tonight.
No, you're welcome, man. Great to be part of it. I mean, you guys are doing you guys, the RGV Canvas Warriors, are doing a great job for MMA and boxing.
Oh, thank you, John. Thank you, Vinny, Nate, Anthony. You know, it's a good night here. Nice, kind of cold outside, but yeah, we plan on having a good show tonight. So all you fans out there will be entertained.
And tonight is a special night, guys. We are going to, for the first time in the history of RGV Canvas Warriors, announce our end of the year boxing awards. Vinny, you and I have been talking about this for quite a long time, trying to come up with different categories for our awards, doing tons of research, tons of legwork, tons of homework. Yeah, I thought college was over, and here I am going right back. And you know, but I'm going to tell you what, this was a project that I really, really enjoyed. And I tell you what, the guys that we're going to mention here for the nominees, well deserved.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I remember a lot of talks on the phone. We talked a lot on the phone. We stayed up late at night doing research on the internet, going back to old stories, having a lot of discussions on this. And what's really good is I thought we had a really great year this past year. I've had a lot of fun going to a lot of these events and meeting some of these fighters. And then to go back and look at some of the highlights and bring back some of those memories, I really enjoyed this process in doing this. So it's going to be really fun to kind of find out, you know, where all this hard work ended up and who is, you know, at the top of boxing here in Rio Grande Valley.
Exactly. And we've got some great categories as well. But guys, I say we jump right into this. Now, what we're going to do something a little different tonight. What we're going to do is tonight, originally, we were just going to announce the nominees. But you know what? In the spirit of New Year, we're going to go ahead and we're going to break the winners. We're going to announce them. Now, what we'll do, we'll have more in-depth stories on these guys on RGVCanvasWarriors.com. Vinny and I already are working on that, you know, getting a hold of the people that won, getting a hold of the winners. And we'll have a nice in-depth interview with them as well. So first award we want to give out, gentlemen, very well deserved here. Just so you know, a lot of people ask me, well, how did you vote on these awards? We comprised a panel of 9 people very well known in the boxing industry. You know, anywhere from ring announcers to former fighters to trainers to, part of our staff, promoters, everyone who's been within the loop in boxing for quite a long time. And basically, they voted on the nominees. We came up. Whoever had the most votes was the winner. So, first one we want to give out is the Lifetime Achievement Award. Gentlemen, this one I'm really, really honored to give this to this man. Very influential in the boxing industry. Been around a long time. Very well known, well renowned, Mr. Miguel Acuna. Anthony, this gentleman, over 30 years as a boxing judge, has done numerous world title fights all over the world. You know this man personally. I think this is a well-deserved award for this fine gentleman.
I've been promoting boxing since 2001, and Miguel Acuna has been there all along the way, judging fights here in South Texas, obviously Rio Grande Valley. Not only here in the United States, he's also known in Mexico. Also, it's fun. It's a funny story, but I was working with Top Rank and in charge of the training for Jorge Arce here in McAllen, and I had to go pick him up in Monterrey, Mexico.
Gee.
Funny story is I got tied up at the border because all the the new laws and everything, and I had to get I didn't know you had to get a pass and 3-day pass and all this stuff with the van I was driving, and also I was with another friend of mine, and we got tied up at the border. I threw the name out there, Miguel Acuna, and they says Miguel Acuna. They said let these guys go. Well, I said wow, he's really well known here in Mexico also, and also what a great deal is that his daughter also judging fights now also. But he loves the sport of boxing, and he's been involved in boxing for so many years, 30 years, and not only here in South Texas and over the country, and in Mexico also.
Yes. Gogue, you know as well, sometimes judges don't make the right decisions, but I tell you what, this man, when he makes a decision, he's on the money.
You know what, Miguel Acuna, he's very accurate when he judges a fight. He rarely makes mistakes. His experience goes back, 30 plus years. Did a lot of work for Jose Sullivan, the BC world, judged tons of world title fights. The 4 criteria used in boxing was effective aggressiveness, defense, ring generalship, solid, hitting your opponent with solid punches. Boy, he pretty much follows that criteria to the, letter T, and that's why, I consider him one of the better judges I would trust to referee.
Definitely well reserved for this guy. Well deserved, I'm sorry. Next award, Heart of a Champion Award. A lot of people ask me when I came up with this award, what do you constitute the heart of a champion? And it's not so much a title holder, but it's a guy who's not a champion, but a person who goes in there, fights tough opponents, and puts on good fights, is extremely entertaining, is a gym rat, works his tail off, and just puts his entire heart and soul into the sport of boxing. Guys, this gentleman right here that everybody, again, unanimously voted on, well-deserved. Gogue, Anthony, you know him very well. Lupe de Leon. I'll tell you what, this guy, to this day, I still talk about, if you want to constitute what a warrior is Lupe de Leon. This guy started his pro career in 2002. He's faced the likes of Jerry Belmontes, Casey Ramos, Gary Russell Jr., and one thing that impressed me is his record is very, very deceiving. Even though he's 8-13 in his last 12 fights, he's lost 11 of those 12 fights. But here's the impressive thing. This man is 34 years old. Faced prospects from Golden Boy and Top Rank. Combined record of 84 wins and 3 losses. 12 years younger than this man. And he went the distance with every one of them. Gogue, you've trained this guy, and to this day, you've told me this is you've trained world-class fighters. Where would you rank Lupe de Leon amongst the fighters that you've faced?
One of my favorite guys I've ever trained. Look, when I tell Lupe we're fighting this guy, doesn't complain how much money I'm going to get. He just says, yes, let's take the fight and everything. Other fighters I have, well, what we're going to fight at, how much are we going to get paid? What's the weight? I mean, Loopy, you tell him we're going to fight, we're going to fight, and Loop, he don't care. He'll fight anybody. And he's the kind of, like I said, he's my best fighter in my gym. I got other guys with better records or undefeated records, but Loopy's my best fighter because of the fact of who he fought and how he performed in when he fought them guys. You're talking about Gary Russell, Jorge Diaz, what's the guy's name from Florida? We upset that one guy. Derek Wilson, Ronnie Rios, Charles Hurta. I mean, and Jerry Belmontes, Glenn Gonzalez. I mean, I probably left out a couple of them, but he went out every time he performed. It was like every fight was like a fight of the year performance and everything.
Exactly. And it's funny you mentioned fight of the year, Anthony. We've talked about this until we're blue in the face. You put on a fight with this young man that really kind of broke him out, where people really realized who he was. I don't know how. It's probably been since 2008, I believe is when it happened. He fought a fighter that you had signed named Casey Ramos, top prospect in Texas. It was for a Texas title that night. I'll never forget it. I didn't know who Lupe de Leon was. I thought, it's just another opponent, that Casey's going to be facing. Gogue was training him, so I knew the guy was going to be something, But I want to tell you something. To this day, I still say, if you want to constitute a fight of the century here in the Valley, that has to be one. That was one of the most explosive fights I've ever seen.
Oh, great fight. When I put that fight together, I wanted Casey Ramos to be tested. And boy, Lupe tested him. And it was a toe-to-toe action, slugfest. I know Lupe was already a tough kid. He fought for me before. But he really showed the heart that night. And what a great fight. The fans went crazy. And it was just toe-to-toe action. Lupe, to me, he's another warrior.
Definitely. Of course, he's been out of boxing for Gogue? About a year now, right? I know he's been working and stuff like that. But I talked to him the other day, and he told me he's making his comeback. He said, I'm going to go one more year. I'm going to see what happens. I think it's pretty safe to say, Gogue, it ain't going to be hard to get this guy fights, is it?
I got Golden Boy. He called me like 3 times last year if he was available. I said, I think he's still on taking a temporary vacation. I don't know.
But you got to plan for him now. I know you want to try to give him a couple of wins and things like that.
And just get a couple wins. And, hey, he's the kind of guy, man, I don't want to baby him with, bombs, man. I want to put him with good, tough fights. The young prospects that are coming out there, like, Oscar Valdez, the guy that top rank signed. I like to get him in 6 rounds, or some of them other, top prospects they got, coming up.
Something, too, that I hardly ever see you do is this guy trains a lot of your fighters, and you have a lot of you let him do it. I mean, you have a lot of respect for this young man and confidence that, hey, if I can't be there, he'll be able to do it. And you even said yourself that if you step down, which hopefully ain't here anytime soon, he'd be the man to take over the reins for you.
Well, I trust him because he's fighting for me, and he knows he knows my expectations. So when he trains them guys, loose, he does it in his own style and his way. The way he trains everybody. But the advice he gives is invaluable. He sits down there and tells you all these little things and everything. And when he talks to the fighters, I don't interrupt. I just kick back and let him, like when he works for, with me with like Tito or Isaac Torres, he tells, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that. And I don't say nothing. I just kick back and, because, hey, like I said, he fought for me and he knows what my expectations are and everything. And, he's got a lot of, knowledge of boxing too.
And Vinny, I know you haven't seen Lupe de Leon fight before, but I'm going to tell you what, we talk about the new crop of boxing. This guy's kind of the old school, but I'm going to tell you something. I can't even describe the way Lupe de Leon fights. He's the type that he'll stand in front of you and he'll go at you. And I really can't wait for you. I know you've told me yourself you're excited about seeing this guy fight. And he did tell me, he says, before I retire, I want one fight in the Rio Grande Valley. And he's something else, man. Just a tremendous fighter.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of stories about him, and just sitting here listening to you guys talk about him tonight, I'm stoked. I'm ready. I love to see a good fighter. I love to see someone that goes in there and likes to get it on. And who doesn't like to see that?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Next award is the Trainer of the Year. Now, we've got 5 nominees for this award. One of them actually sitting here right here with us today, James Gogue. We also have Mario Amador, of course, known as Kilo. We have Robert Campos out of Brownsville. We have Oscar Tovar Sr., and we have Mr. Pete De La Rosa. Anthony, you've worked with every one of these trainers. These guys have produced great young fighters.
No, I had the privilege of working with every one of these trainers. I know them very well. I'm sitting next to a trainer, Gogue, and great trainer. He's very experienced. I got nothing but good things to say about him. He's got a real good stable of fighters right now. I worked with Kilo. He trained Raul Tovar for Chris Aguilera in New York, and good trainer, real good trainer. Robert Campos, we worked years before, and basically he trains right now Sergio Perez.
Yes.
And he's done a good job with that young man.
I think he had the Guevara boys as well, correct?
Yeah, Guevara. That's right. Guevara. I worked with him with Guevara.
And with didn't he work with Emmanuel as well?
Yeah. Emmanuel pretty much retired now, but yeah, Emmanuel.
Towards the end of his career, he was working with
Robert was in the corner. Emmanuel Garza fought for me for world title against Tomas Barrientos for the IBA world title, and at the State Farm Arena. Oscar Tovar, we're real good friends. I worked with Oscar a long time. He's got a son fighting now. He's a tough kid. He's 6-1. But I worked with Oscar a bunch of fighters. With Raul Tovar, bunch of fighters. Pete De La Rosa, of course. I worked with both of his sons. So I worked with every one of these trainers. And Pete De La Rosa was the trainer for obviously James De La Rosa and Juan De La Rosa. I had them both signed with me under Cavazos Boxing. When he got out of Juan De La Rosa got out of the Contender, I signed him, and we had a great crowd, man. When he got out of Contender at that time it was Dodge Arena, now it's State Farm Arena. So, and then James, I promoted James when he started at 17 years old. Nobody knew who James De La Rosa was. He's African American and Mexican American, and half African American, and boy, could this kid fight. When I didn't know much about him, he had over 100 amateur fights, and what was good about it, a lot of people, he didn't have that national recognition, but also I didn't even know myself, but I studied it. I mean, Pete, I was the one doing everything with James. I did his promoting and managing. I said, you just train. Your job is to train. I'll get you the fights. In 2008, you can look back on his box record. He fought 8 times.
Wow.
Which is incredible. I had this kid busy, real busy. We fought in Miami, Florida. We fought in Dallas. We fought in Phoenix. I got him to TV fights. I signed him co-promoter with Dino Duva because I wanted to take him to the next level. He was ready. I mean, he was 18-0. The kid can fight. What decided factor when I knew James could fight, when I took him to Miami on a Telemundo card, and we fought a local fighter named David Obregon, 11-1, tough kid. Guess what, man? James lays him out in the 3rd round. And I told James, I said, you know what? I didn't come here to lose. And you know what James told me? Neither did I. This kid, talk about a fighter, man. Tough.
And Pete puts in a lot of time with these
tough
boys.
Fighter. And we fought on ESPN. He went a distance on ESPN in Pennsylvania. And then we fought a big show with a tough fighter. James wasn't afraid to fight anybody. He told me, Anthony, you just get me the date. I'll fight anybody you put me in front of. He fought Tim Coleman. Tim Coleman was Gogue probably knows a little bit about Tim Coleman. Tim Coleman fought with trained with Oscar De La Hoya and other real good fighters. What a fight, man, on Showbox. Main event. Nobody today has fought and won on a Showbox in the history of Rio Grande Valley, as far as I know. And James put on a valiant effort, and he hurt Tim Coleman in the middle rounds in the body shot. And after that, it was all James, and it was a great fight and a great night for Rio Grande Valley fans and for the world for boxing. And James came out the winner of that night.
And Pete did a lot of preparation with these.
Yeah, I took him to train with Danny Smith, and we went to go train in Arkansas for that fight, prepare for that fight, and that was a great fight. But that was really a highlight with James' career when we fought in Showbox in Maryland. So when we fought with James all over the country, it was crazy. It was awesome, but he's a real tough fighter. And then Juan, Ron, I thought was going to be the one that was going to be the hot prospect, but James turned out to be the fighter, the brother that really took it to another level.
There we go. Vinny, I'm going to go ahead and announce the winner, and you know a lot about this man. You've done a lot of interviews with him. Gogue, Might as well say it. Congrats. Trainer of the year.
Hey,
You
thank
won
you
it.
guys. You know,
Good job, Gogue.
thank you, Anthony, John, Nate, Vinny. Thank you. You know,
And the voters. I mean, they all.
and the voters, of course, yeah, and all the fans out there. You know, every time you win an award, you know, it's a humbling experience. You know, whether it's you know, you're winning an ESPN award or the Rio Grande Valley. You know, the only website, the only media outlet that constantly covers boxing here in the Valley. Okay, without you guys, boxing would be dry. You don't see the Monitor, you know, a lot of these media places covering boxing, but you guys do it and everything. You know, getting the word out there, and your website is getting bigger and bigger every day, John. Correct?
Yes.
Thousands of hits. So you know, I like to thank you guys. I'm honored.
Well, you know, I know when I looked at these 5, I know 3 fairly well out of the 5. Out of those 3, it was hard for me to choose to decide who I thought was trainer of the year. But when I look back at this past year, you know, you worked in the Eric Molina, Chris Arreola fight. You know, you got Raul ready and he defeated J.C. Candelo in that big fight. Got him ready for Angulo and went out there. You had three big profile fights that I know of, several TV fights. But what you did with Randy Fuentes' career this past year, what you did for Fabian Reyes, bringing him down from 190 pounds to middleweight.
Junior middleweight.
And he's fighting, you know, on a regular basis. Yeah, like every 3 to 4 weeks, if not, you know, sooner than that. He's not going with a big period of layoff time. He's staying very active, looking really good, looking really sharp. And to see those 2 careers alone, and then, you know, you've got Isaac Torres and Mark Torres made their pro debut.
Ricky Alvarez
made his pro debut. And one night, I tell a funny story. This will just kind of show you how involved he is in the boxing scene or the boxing world. We were at the promotion that you promoted with the heavyweight,
Orlando Solis.
Yes.
With main events.
Yeah.
And his opponent. What was his opponent's name?
Arish.
Arish, yeah.
Arik.
Okay.
Arik. Yeah, you got a hard name, Arik. Yeah.
Well, I'm sitting here talking to Gogue. We're just messing around. He wasn't really doing anything that night. And then all of a sudden, you know, he's up in the corner being the cut man for our
Arish.
Yeah.
and he comes back and says, "Hey man, I didn't think I was going to work tonight. They hired me for a cut man." And I just thought to myself, wow, you know, for a guy, you know, just taking a guy into the ring has really got to say something about who Gogue is as a boxing man. You know, I was really impressed with
Yeah,
that.
they needed a cut man. I do cuts too. I do my cuts, and I said, okay, I'll do it. You know, because I know that promoter. Plus Anthony said, hey, you know, he came to me. Who's doing your cuts? I said, I do my own cuts. He goes, oh, they're looking for a cut. Then I knew Ahmet Honor, his promoter, said, okay, good. And they paid me great. Oh man,
I remember Gogue was Gogue was. I tell you what, man.
That fight. I love
Gogue going to his level.
Yeah, no, they paid him so great that I was like, "Hey, Gogue, tell him I know how to put ice pack in Vaseline on somebody's forehead."
I'm still waiting for my cut of that.
I'll get your 10%.
I'm still waiting on my wings, and I'm waiting on my meal, man.
Not the cut like in your face. I mean the cut, like my percentage.
I'll give you your.
Hey, great job, Gogue.
I'll give you your 10%.
Well deserved, Gogue. I mean,
Great,
man,
thank you. Congratulations.
You work with some great fighters, and we really look forward to seeing.
Yeah,
Again,
but-
we talk about 2013 being the year, man. We look forward to.
But
And we work with every Valley fighter, as you know. But you know, you've got a great crop coming up, man, and
But all the coaches, especially Robert, you know, he's got a couple good fighters over there. Sergio, who's going to verge of getting a title fight. And Oscar
what
Tovar, you know, he puts a lot of time. Pete, they put a lot of time in there.
What
Yeah.
Kilo does
Yeah.
for the kids in his community. He has the gym in his garage there, and he tells me that, hey, the kids are welcome to come here. I don't charge them at all. And I've seen him. He puts on a lot of amateur shows too, and he works with the amateurs. So you know, there's a lot of great nominees in here. A lot of coaches that do a lot of great things for the community.
any one of them could have been.
Any one of them could have been trainer of the year.
Well, like I said, Oscar, you know, he pays that rent for with his own pocket.
And-
to me, that's a special coach.
And they had an outstanding performance at Border Wars too.
Every one of his guys was victorious,
Every
and they
single one
look
of
great.
them.
I mean, pro debuts, but man, they even remember that heavyweight fight we talked about, and that guy, For a heavyweight, you think they're swinging. No, this guy came out and he flat out knocked the guy
Joe
out.
Garcia looked great too.
Exactly.
That was a good fight. I saw
Oscar
that on the
Tova.
tape. Yeah.
Since the Cerrone loss has really come together. And the thing about he stays on him. So again, you don't realize how much work these trainers put into it. But I'm gonna tell you something. You see it in the ring, and you see the discipline, and you see how much hard work they put in. And again, we're just honored to have all 5 of these as nominees, and obviously to have Gogue our winner.
Put the hours we put in. It's usually free, okay? So it's not like we're getting paid for this. So the coaches, you gotta have a passion for it. Exactly.
This next one should be really fun too, guys. Upset of the year. We've got this one was tough. I'm going to tell you what, and it came down to one final vote for this one. Let's go through the nominees. We have Randy Fuentes and Reynaldo Blanco, in which Fuentes won by unanimous decision. We've got Mark Torres against Arturo Herrera, which Torres won by unanimous decision. We've got Victor Sanchez against Jerry Guevara, which Sanchez won by unanimous decision. We've got Manny Mendez and James Burns, which Mendez won by unanimous decision. We've got Erik Loella and Arturo Herrera, in which Loella won by unanimous decision. We've got Ivan Cerrone and Oscar Tovar Jr., which Cerrone won by TKO. And then we've got Omar Figueroa Jr. and Mikey Perez, which Figueroa won by TKO. You look at any of these and you want to talk upsets, they really are, because a lot of these guys that won these fights were, I don't want to say they were no names, but they were tested, and they weren't even the favorites coming in. But boy, I'll tell you what, they showed why they deserved to win those, in those fights that night. Anyway, the winner, this was a tough one. This was a very, very tough one. Came down to the upset of the year was, drumroll, Nate.
Don't got that sound effect.
Okay, sorry.
Gogue does.
Omar Figueroa Jr. and Mikey Perez.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to tell you what. We've talked about this as well, guys. This was Omar's test for Golden Boy. He had to win this fight, just to keep, basically to remain in Golden Boy's stable. And Mikey Perez, Gogue, you and I have talked about this. Yeah. We watched that fight that night.
Yeah.
Mikey Perez was one of their top prospects coming up, and they were expecting a lot of big things. But I tell you what, Omar came in there, and he put a beat down on this kid. You even said to yourself that when you saw that fight, that's when you said, hey, this kid's got it.
Well, like I said, his job was on the line. Anytime you fight for a promotional company and you can't afford to lose and everything. It's like the NFL and everything. So Omar knew his job was on the line, and his back was against the wall. So hey, he put on a spectacular performance, and without a doubt, he deserved this award because it was on the highest stage. Everybody else, they had great knockouts, but none of them were on Showtime where he was amazing.
Upsets. Great upsets.
Yeah, great upsets, yeah. And he put on a great performance the way he did it, you know what I mean? The way he made the guy quit in the 6th round.
Yeah, Anthony, you worked with him. You got him started in his career, and he hit him with a devastating, hit him with a lot of body shots. And just kept taking it to him. The first night, and I'll never forget, his debut was at the Harley Davidson shop.
I started Omar,
and he ended the guy's career, man.
No, Omar. I remember his dad came to me and asked me to help him start up his career, and Omar's a real nice kid. He looks are deceiving. He comes to fight, and his first fight, his pro debut at the Harley Davidson. It was a great night of boxing. It was summer night, packed house. Omar, what a devastating, if I'm not mistaken, was overhand right.
Yes.
Laid this kid out, man. I was like, all I was thinking was, oh my God, man, I hope this kid's not hurt. He laid him out, and the kid was shaking. Literally, body was shaking. I've never seen it before.
Ended his career, didn't he?
No, he never fought ever again. Thank God, really, because the kid, that punch, the knockout was devastating. And Omar's had a great career. When he fought Mike Perez, two Golden Boy prospects in the same stable. Yeah, obviously they were looking at maybe possibly get rid of one of them. They were testing both fighters, obviously. A lot of people.
But more Omar really than Mikey, right? Because Mikey was kind of there.
Mikey was, Omar was the underdog in that fight.
Yeah.
And I looked up Mike Perez. I didn't know much about him, but you know what? He was a national champion.
National Golden Glove champion.
Yeah, national Golden Glove champion, and that's a big feat in boxing and amateurs. And Omar never got that title of national champion. So Omar never stopped. He got a big heart. He kept on coming at him. The kid finally gave up, man. He threw the towel in I think it was the 6th round. But he deserves it because he fought undefeated prospect. undefeated prospect on a national show showbox.
Exactly. And I think a lot of our voters that I talked to had said that, when you look at upset, he was on the national stage, on television. I believe he was the co-main event, if I'm not even mistaken.
Right, yeah.
Co-feature, something like that. So a lot of pressure on the young man. But you know what? He stepped in there, and Gogue, you and I talked about it. He showed no fear that night.
Yep, he delivered. And that's what you're supposed to do,
And guess what? Because of it, he's still fighting for Golden Boy.
Yep.
So great accomplishment. Very good upset of the year.
Hey, John, we won't be talking about it if he didn't win that fight.
Exactly.
So
yeah, that wouldn't be an upset of the year. Exactly.
So he did his job and what he's supposed to do and took care of business. Okay.
Right. Next one. This one is kind of interesting, I guess. Knockout of the year. We got some good ones. Again, this one came down to, once again, the last vote.
Wow, close.
Knockout of the this one was really, really close.
Yeah.
Kind of like the upset of the year.
That's some great ones.
On the upset of the year, I'll tell you what, just to let you know, a very close second was Cerrone and Tovar Jr. That was a very, very close second for the upset of the year. But for knockout of the year, this is what we've got. These are the nominees, some great ones. Omar Figueroa against Robbie Cannon, in which Omar knocked him out in the second round via TKO. We've got Felix Piedra and Rayford Johnson, first round TKO, Piedra. We've got Cerrone and Tovar Jr., fourth round TKO, Cerrone. We've got Rafael Murphy and Anthony Greeley, first round TKO, Murphy. We've got Isaac Torres and Francisco Flores, first round knockout. And then we've got Enrique Alvarez and James Gabriel, which Alvarez won first round knockout. Guys, you look at all six of these, and I'll tell you what, every one of these were impressive knockouts.
Yeah, I've seen every single one of these, and all of these I remember like they were yesterday.
Yeah. Gogue, you've seen quite a few of these. You've seen some really, really good knockouts. A lot of the reason we picked these as well is just the devastating knockout blow that these guys delivered.
The one Felix Piedra when he fought Rayford Johnson. Oof.
Yeah.
That was scary.
That was very scary.
Yeah.
Same with Isaac when he fought Flores. 21 seconds. Floored that guy.
Stopped him with a body shot.
That was all right. The better one was in July when he knocked that guy out. That guy from Brownsville with that left hook and everything. Oof. That was more impressive. The other guy was, man, I could have blew him a kiss and he would have laid down. You know what I mean? So, but the impressive.
Gogue, I love some of your terms. That's about.
I mean, come on. I mean, I'm just calling like I see it. But Isaac's his second knockout, his second pro fight when he drilled that guy. I was in the corner when he hit that guy. Oof. And Piedra's fight when he knocked out Rayford Johnson. Oh, that was scary. The way, because the big guys.
Yeah.
And the way Felix hit him and everything. That was the best I've seen Felix fight and everything, because I thought it would be a tough fight for him.
Well, I think you already named the nominee on that.
No, we haven't named the winner. We're still going over
the one.
nominees.
The one I really think, and I was there at the fight in Las Vegas, huge again national stage with Omar, and I was there ringside, and devastating knockout, and that was a huge card. That was in the card Mayweather Cotto, and also superstar Canelo Alvarez.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a humongous card in Las Vegas, and Omar knocked him out with a left hook. Devastating left shot to the. I don't remember if it was the body or left or the head. He knocked him down several times.
Yeah, I can't remember.
He knocked him down in the first round, and then he finished him in the second round.
Yeah.
And I know that Felix really put it to Rayford Johnson, and also I was surprised, man. Ivan Cerrone against Oscar Tovar Jr.
Yeah.
Oscar fought for me a bunch of times,
And Oscar was winning this fight.
I know the
Hands
father
down.
was winning the fight, and then he got caught with a lucky punch. His father. I talked to his father personally about that fight. He says it was a blessing in disguise because he didn't train hard enough for that fight, and he woke. It was a wake up call.
Yeah,
Sure.
And he's coming around now and fighting. Training a lot better. Let's put it that way, tougher
And you should
more
see
serious.
his defensive skills now. I mean, he's fighting a lot smarter than he had in that fight.
It only takes one punch in boxing, and a perfect example. Look at Gamboa. A couple of weeks ago on the undercard of Marquez Pacquiao, Gamboa, he pretty much destroyed his opponent, but he got caught with a big left hook, and I don't remember what round it was, but you got to be careful, man. You got to protect yourself at all times.
Exactly. Well, I'll tell you what. Again, you guys all have valid points, and that's why I'm saying this. This one was a tough one to vote. It really, really was. But in the end, and again, I was there. Vinny was there. Knockout of the year went to Ivan Cerrone and Oscar Tovar Jr. I'm going to tell you something. It was scary. Again, Tovar Jr. was winning this fight clearly. And I'm talking, we're in the fourth round. We're probably, Vinny? We're about a minute into it. You know, Oscar's got it won. Cerrone clocked him. And I mean, this kid went crashing to the canvas, and he was out.
And Cerrone
was out.
He looked tired, too. Cerrone he really looked like he was done in that fight.
Yeah.
It just caught him from nowhere?
He caught him from nowhere, and Oscar was out. He didn't know where he was. He literally, they rushed him to the back. Took him to the back, and I think he suffered a concussion in that fight. I mean, it was like you said, Vinny, his defensive skills got better because of that fight. And again,
he looked great in that fight 2 weeks ago.
We're not trying to dog Oscar Tovar Jr. at all. We're not dogging anyone for this. I mean, we don't want to make this as a bad thing, but you said it best. Sometimes you need a wake up call. You need a wake up call, and this was Oscar Jr.'s wake up call. And to this day, we still talk about that knockout because it was. I've seen a lot of knockouts, and this was a scary one, just because the fact that Oscar Jr. did not know what was going on when he got caught. So, next one, we're going to go to Comeback Fighter of the Year. We've got some great ones as well. We've got Mario Amador, Ivan Cerrone. We've got Robert Garcia, Abel Fonseca, James De La Rosa, Felix Piedra, Rafael Murphy, Raul Tovar, and Manny Mendez. This was another one that came down to the wire. Came down again to the last vote. And you look at any of these guys and you wonder, well, what do you constitute a comeback fighter of the year? Well, it's someone who's been off for a while and comes back and fights and of course wins and puts on a good performance. But Vinny, you wanted to go a little further on this one as well.
Well, I just wanted to talk about who I thought should have been comeback fighter of the year. I look at all these guys. There's several that just jump out at me, and I did have a little hard time trying to pick, but I liked Felix this past year. He hasn't fought in a year. He came back. Yeah, Felix Piedra. He didn't fight in a year. He came back. He had that first round knockout with Rayford Johnson. He goes all the way to California in Sean Estrada's backyard. Though he loses that fight, was willing to go out there and fight a very, very tough opponent. After that loss, he comes back and he goes into somebody else's backyard. He goes to
Mexico.
He goes to Mexico. He fights
Fernando Vela.
You
know Vela really well.
He wins an 8-round unanimous decision. I just really liked his spirit. I liked his attitude about I'm going to go out there and fight. I'll fight whoever, and that's why I voted for him as comeback fighter of the year.
Gogi, you have anything on these guys?
Well, I agree with Vinny. I really liked Felix Piedra when he came back and he got that great, exciting knockout over Rayford Johnson. Because, like I said, that was the way he did it. Oh, it was scary and everything. And that's the best I've ever seen Felix fight. He came in there like he was possessed, like he was the underdog. Because Rayford Johnson, he gave Eric Molina a tough fight. I seen. So that's why I thought it would be a tougher fight than what it turned out. Then James De La Rosa, of course, coming back. Robert, Lamanasa Garcia coming back and everything. But yeah, like I said, it's a lot of good, quality fighters that you guys nominated.
Anthony?
That's a lot of good fighters here. A lot of fighters here, tough here. I had the opportunity to work with Robert Garcia. Obviously, James De La Rosa, I promoted him since he was 17. Felix Piedra, we had a bunch of fights with Felix. Rafael Murphy's a tough fighter. Raul Tovar is one of my fighters. Bunch of good fighters in this group. James had a long layoff. He had a lot of problem with Don King. It just didn't pan out for him. He comes back and fights a tough fighter on ESPN and unanimous wins in a unanimous decision. So it's a great fight.
Yep. And let's go ahead and announce our winner. Again, this was a tough one. It came down to basically Felix and this guy we're getting ready to talk about. And the winner of the Comeback Fighter of the Year was James De La Rosa. And I know a lot of people that told me, well, Felix should win this, Felix should win it. And you know what? He should. I wouldn't even mind having a co-Comeback Fighter of the Year, to tell you the truth. But the way that James came in and fought Brunson, Vinny, and I know you have some stuff on this. Brunson, I believe, was undefeated at the time.
He did have one loss under his belt. He had a loss to Carson Jones.
Carson Jones.
And but he went in that fight with 20 knockouts. So we're not talking about a cupcake here. We're talking about a very, very tough fighter who at the time I believe was ranked number 9.
Yes.
And so he's 27 years old. He hails from Philadelphia. He's been fighting since 2005. He's light middleweight. And when I saw this matchup, when I saw who he was fighting that night in FAR, I was just like, wow, this is a real fight. These are two real tough competitors, and that would, I can see why he won.
Yeah, and you know what was impressive was he got knocked down, which happens very rarely. Anthony, you've worked with this guy. He got knocked down in the second round. And one thing about James, and you and I have talked about it before, you don't want to tick off James De La Rosa, because when you do, he's deadly. And after that, he came on and he put a whipping on this guy. And, he'd been off for about a year. He had some issues with King. He had some other things that fights that fell through. I know at one time he even told me he flew up for a fight, and they ended up canceling it like right then and there. They literally canceled it. So for him to come back and fight the caliber of fighter that he did, and to get a win like that's why I say he definitely deserves Comeback Fighter of the Year. And you talked a lot about him earlier. I mean, you know him. You started his career. This young man just has one gear, and that's go.
No, I have nothing but good things to say about James. Tough kid, man. He just comes to fight. He's not afraid to fight anybody. That's another fight at the national stage, ESPN. Mm-hmm. And like Vinny said, the guy was no cream puff. Anytime you got a guy that's 21-1 with 20 knockouts is incredible. It's incredible, the power, and those are dangerous fights. When I match fights, usually that's the first thing I stay away from is fighters would have a lot of power and have a lot of knockouts. So with that ratio of knockout power, that was a gamble fight for James, especially for a 1-year layoff. And hands down, James De La Rosa wins that Comeback Fighter of the Year.
Yeah, I've talked to James a couple times, and he said 2013 he is coming back. Looking forward to him. James, tough guy, and I know Gogue, he sparred a lot of your guys before too, and he's a great test. He's a very good young fighter.
He's great sparring in the gym. I love, I like bringing him over because he makes your fighters work. He's great work.
Next award, we've got 3 left, guys. So we're getting towards the end. I know fans, you're probably listening to this thing and thinking, how much longer are you guys gonna go? But that's why we said it's a special show tonight. So, Prospect of the Year. We've got some great ones here too. This was another tough one, but in the end, the panel really thought this kid deserved this award. We've got the nominees were Mark Torres, Luis Sarasua, Fabian Reyes, Ricky Alvarez, Isaac Torres, and Randy Fuentes. In the end, it came down to a young man who was very active, fought a couple times on television as well. Prospect of the Year was Randy Fuentes. Gogue, you know this guy really well. Transitioned from MMA to boxing. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I'll never forget, his first fight, you got him on ESPN for his pro debut.
Yeah, that was...
And he won against a tough kid in San Antonio, if I'm not mistaken.
Randy's never had a tough fight. When I got Randy, it's pretty much, he was 22, 23 years old. When you get a guy like that, you don't baby him. You know, you put him on the fight. You know, it's hard to get fights. So when the fights are offered, you just take it.
He's never not had a tough fight.
Every fight he's had has been tough.
Very tough.
Yeah. But I know he can handle it. Why? Because how he handles himself in the gym and who I spar him against in his preparation. So I know when he goes out to fight, you know, I can pretty much gauge how he's going to do. And that's why I would agree with you guys, because you know the other guys, I pretty much everybody you mentioned, I probably got everyone except Sarasua. But the other guys, man, they ain't fought nobody. I mean, including my guys too. I mean, they, you know what I mean? They ain't fought the tough guys like Randy. You know, Randy even fought a guy junior middleweight too. Opponent fell out the last minute. They couldn't find the right guy, so they got this.
I remember the guy in Farley he fought. The guy was a junior Olympic champion, wasn't he? Or something like that.
The guy from that was Willie Savannah.
The one Willie Savannah guy.
Yeah, that was a tough guy. Yeah, that was another tough war. I forgot I put Randy in, but Randy, you know, that guy's a tough prospect. He's a tough guy. Ronaldo Blanco. Then he just beat a guy in Mexico, Fernando Mata, who was 7-0 with 6 knockouts in his backyard in the rain.
Unbelievable fight.
Vinny, you still for our next award, we're going to talk about Fight of the Year.
I'm still talking about this fight. I thought this was a fantastic fight, and this is why I think he was Prospect of the Year. Close second for me would have been Fabian Reyes, but hands down, Randy wins this award. Just a tough guy. Remember him when he was fighting John Montez on ESPN. He got, I believe it was the third round, he got hit with a wild shot, and it was like, wow, you know, I mean, he came back from that and came back and still won that fight. And then when in this fight in Reynosa, let me tell you, I'm telling you, everyone, if you missed this fight, I'm sorry, because this was a slugfest from the get-go. Yeah. These guys
and in the rain,
standing toe to toe. Neither one of them backed down. No one was running. No one was holding.
It was pouring, huh, Vinny?
And it was pouring. It started raining in the
second round.
I think they would stop the fight, but they kept going.
And they kept on going. And I talked to Randy about this. He said, "Hey, man, when it started raining, I really had to start. I had to start thinking about my footwork and about slipping. And some of the punches that I was throwing were slipping. They weren't really connecting.
Couldn't get his leverage.
Yeah, he couldn't get his leverage. And these guys, neither one of them backed down.
You know what? I've been in this a long time, and you know, usually when it rains, they stop it and come back. You know, like baseball. And I looked at the officials over there. I said, "Hey, what's going on? You're gonna stop it?" They go, "Nope, fight through it." I'm like, I looked at the other side. They weren't complaining. I said, "Let's do it. let's get it on." So we finished the whole 6 rounds, and the guy was coming on in the later rounds. And but my guy made a stand the 6th round, which won the fight. Yeah.
I gained a lot of respect for him, the way he fought in that fight, and also too, I mean, the guy that he's fighting.
That dude was tough. Mata,
very tough. And look at his record. I mean, he went in 7-0, had 6 KOs. I mean, come on.
Tough guy. He'll beat any of these prospects in South Texas, any 140-pounder out there.
And Randy goes in the backyard of that guy, and he wins by split decision. And Mata was so mad after the decision that he goes to the promoter and says, "Hey, I want a rematch." You know, I mean, that's how close that fight was. It was so good.
Then they came to me and they go, "Hey, we want a rematch." I said, "Look, man, we did what we did. You know, we did what we wanted to. We wanted to be the undefeated guy to put on his resume. We don't need to fight you again. Why?" He goes, "Well, we want a rematch." I said, "You better give us some money, man. We fought for pesos. Next time, you better give us some big money." I mean, I did it to, number one, I wanted to test Randy where he's at, which I knew we would beat the guy. I knew it would be tough. And I knew we had a good camp because we were sparring. We had some great sparring in camp. And I knew we were going in his backyard. It was going to be tough.
Well, if he has
and that guy was tough. I don't care. He'll beat any top prospect in Texas, 140 pounds. That guy's that good. He's
Anthony, you know, as a promoter, and you're looking at coming back and putting on shows. You're looking at these young guys that you want to get on, and you look at this crop, and obviously you've heard about Randy Fuentes as well, and Vinny and I always talk about the young up and coming guys, you know, to get showcased here. You got to admit, to go 4-0 and to fight tough guys like that who had better records than he did, you know, and didn't back down. It kind of reminds me of Casey Ramos a little bit too when he started.
Randy's a tough kid. I got the opportunity to see him fight in Fire Event Center with Willie Savannah, one of his fighters, and you know what? He impressed me. Yeah. He impressed me. A tough kid. I didn't get the opportunity to see him in Reynosa, but what you guys are saying, I mean, he sounds like another warrior, man. Sounds like a tough kid. Congratulations, Gogue, on Randy Fuentes, fighting with you, and he's doing great. He's got a good start. Let's put it that way. He got a good start, and he sounds like he's got a good future.
Definitely. 2 more to go. I'm pretty pumped about this one too. Fight of the year, guys. There's been some great fights this year. Really, really good fights, and we've got 7 here that every one of y'all were a part of, were involved in.
I've seen 6 of the 7.
First one of the nominees is Raul Caceres and JC Candelo. We also have Greg Gutierrez and Hector Garza. We have Victor Sanchez and Jerry Guevara. We have Raul Tovar and Chris Algieri. Randy Fuentes and Fernando Mata. We have Mark Torres and Arturo Herrera, and Randy Fuentes and Reynaldo Blanco. Guys, again, Gogue, Anthony, Vinny, myself, we've all, in some way, shape, or form, have been, around these fights, and we can honestly say that any one of these could take it, to be honest with you.
They were all pretty good fights. The one that stands out to me is Raul Tovar and Chris Algieri. Golly, man, that's another fight that Raul just went in there and just stood toe-to-toe. Both these guys punching each other. I mean, just a great fight. Two warriors were going at it that night. What got exciting was in the 8th round, he catches him with that hook on the ropes. And I really thought that Raul was going to upset that guy, And for him not to get a better score in that fight was really,
and you were there, Anthony.
Really upsetting.
Yeah, we made the fight, and it was in New York. I give Raul a lot of credit, man. He took this fight. A lot of people, I know boxing as well as Gogue, and a lot of fighters will not fight undefeated prospect, especially in their backyard. Raul, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. He looked the best ever, and he fought this Chris Aguilera, and he got the bigger punches. Again, Vinny had the opportunity to see the fight. I don't know if you saw it.
Yeah, he did.
And he had the worst punches were from Raul, the most devastating punches. I think Raul had knocked him down. And the thing is that when you're going in a backyard, another person's backyard, a lot of people don't know, you're already losing the fight because you're going against the hometown crowd and the judges. They favor the hometown fighter. And look at Marquez last year. I think he won the fight. I was there in Vegas when he fought Pacquiao, and the judges gave it to Pacquiao again. And you're going against the judges, which I've lost fights before in Florida where the judges went against us. So Raul went over there. He fought his heart out. Great condition. I've never seen Raul in such best shape of his life. The fight was close. Aguilera's undefeated prospect. He was 15-0. Like I said, a lot of people will not fight an undefeated prospect. Raul went in there to win. He lost a close decision, and it was a great fight.
And Raul told me, he said after the fight, he went to a gas station. He said people are coming up to him saying, "Hey, man, you won that fight." He was like, "Were you there?" So, yeah, it was disappointing he didn't get the win, but it sure was awesome to see a great fight and see him fight his heart out in that fight. I'll remember that fight for a long time.
Honestly, you know what? I went back to the promoter, the matchmaker for that fight.
Is it Ron Katz?
Ron Katz. You know what? I bet you they won't take the rematch because Raul was that's how close the fight was, and they'd be afraid to get the rematch. I haven't heard from him, so they probably don't want a rematch. But Raul, that was a great fight.
That was a great fight. And then, of course, another one that stands out, well, we definitely already talked about Randy Fuentes and Fernando Mata. Raul Caceres and JC Candelo. That was a fantastic fight.
That was a big test for Tigre, too.
And JC would just not stop coming. I mean, wow.
That was a good TV fight, too. That fight got him the fight with Angulo. He can't beat Candelo. I mean, he ain't got no business going to Showtime. Them are the fights you need to win to get to that next level.
I'll tell you what, the one that I remember vividly and was Victor Sanchez and Jerry Guevara. Man, I'll tell you what, you want to talk about, I think this was a 6-round fight, right, Vinny?
Yeah,
it was a 6-rounder, and they did not stop swinging from the opening bell to the closing bell. These guys fought, man. I mean, when I look at a fight, I look at guys that go in there and you're slugging. You're not sitting there dancing and doing whatever. These guys were throwing punches. I mean, at the end of the fight, they could barely lift their arms. They were so tired. They were in a fight,
That was
and
a
you
good
could
fight.
see it.
Yeah.
Telepature, yeah. Co-main event.
Yeah, that was a great fight.
Yeah. And fantastic. I mean, Victor goes down in the first round, weathers the storm. By the third round, he hurts Jerry. And then in the fifth round, he puts him down. And, I mean, before you know it, you were like, I mean, you knew you were witnessing something that you weren't expecting to see.
Yeah, and Victor ended up winning that fight, upsetting Jerry Guevara. Yeah. And I remember I talked to Victor afterwards, and I mean, you talked to Jerry as well. Both these guys, they were trying to, they literally told us, let me catch my breath. Give me a second, because they were in a war.
They sure were.
And you know what? Talking about that fight, that actually was the fight of the year. It won the award. Again, I kind of compare this fight a little bit to kind of the Lupa de Leon fight against Casey Ramos. Two guys went in there slugging, fighting, definitely gave the fans their money's worth, and I'd love to see this fight again. I really would. I'd like to see these guys fight again.
Yeah, well, another fight on there that we didn't talk about that, of course, didn't win, but the Grey Gutierrez Hector Garza.
You were at that one.
I saw that fight. These guys fought for 4 rounds. Both of them injured their hand in that fight. Finished the fight, and I believe Greg walked away with a split decision in that one. But that was 2 guys just fighting their hearts out too. That's why all these fights are nominated as fight of the year, because any one of these fights could walk away with it.
Yeah, definitely. We're down to the final one, guys. We're at the hour mark already. It doesn't even seem like it, does it? But we're at the hour mark. We're almost finished here. Hang with us, fans. We're almost there. We told you this is going to be a long show, but hey, again, we want to give these guys the recognition they deserve, and we definitely want to you to continue to partake in the history of what we're doing today with these awards that we're mentioning. Last but not least, Fighter of the Year. This one was no contest whatsoever. Completely ran away with it, and I'm sure everyone's probably like, oh, we know who it is. So let's run through the contestants, or let's run through the nominees. I'm sorry. Well, I guess we could say contestants too, right? Rafael Murphy, Felix Piedra, Fabian Reyes, Sergio Perez, Randy Fuentes, and Omar Figueroa. And all 9 of our panel, no doubt, Omar Figueroa. Yeah. 6 fights this year, 6 wins, 4 knockouts, and on the national stage.
Yeah.
Guys, Omar, again, Anthony, we talked about you started him, when he first had his first pro debut, and to see this kid grow and to what he's become, man, very well deserved. This young man just has really kind of defied the odds.
Yeah, no, Omar, again, hands down, wins Fighter of the Year. The level of competition, number one, the level of competition, it's kind of hard to compare, the local fights. Not saying anything bad about local fights. I've done tons of local fights. I'm just saying that the prospects he's fought, like Mike Perez, fighters like that are undefeated. I think when he fought Mike Perez, if I'm not mistaken, he was 15-16-0. So the level of competition is it's just so tough, the competition, and to win and on a national level. Also, he fought in California, he fought in Las Vegas, he fought in Chicago against good fighters, and he won every fight. And to have 6 fights and 4 of those by knockout is incredible.
I mean, you want to talk about staying Gogue as a trainer? This guy lived in the gym, wasn't home for a while. His parents would go up, he'd spend a day or 2 with him, and he's right back in the gym working. Yeah, you don't see that very often from a fighter, and especially you think about it. You get out of a fight, boom, you're right back in training. That means you got to stay on your diet, you got to stay that weight, you got to stay in this. Yeah, you're fighting every 2 months.
Yeah, that's tough. I've done that with other fighters where it's like when you're first starting off, you're fighting all the time. You don't get a break from the gym. You're trying to build your record up, trying to make a name for yourself. But like I said, his big one was over Perez. That was the one that catapulted him into the boxing world's imagination. The other wins he had, they were just wins. The last win he had against Salcido, good little fighter. It was a good little win.
But I think we have to recognize the fact that 6 fights, 6 wins, 4 knockouts.
Yeah.
4 knockouts.
But if you're knocking guys out in the first, second round, you can come back quick. You're not taking damage.
Right.
But it's that fight with Mike Perez. That's what
That's
impressed
the
me.
fight that stands out.
Exactly. The other guys, you're supposed to knock them out in the first or 2 rounds and just to get a win.
And that last fight he had with Salcido, it
Yeah.
went all 10 rounds. I
It
mean,
was a tough fight. And Salcido's been around.
Yeah, he had to work
Yeah.
for that one.
Yeah, it was been around. But that fight with Perez, that's the one that catapulted. So, coming in 2013, expectations are going to be high for him. Okay?
Sure,
And like I said, you're with a major promoter like Golden Boy. They set expectations for you.
Yeah, they're going to set the bar high this year for this young man.
Oh, yeah,
no
they
doubt.
do.
But
Yeah.
again, I think well deserved.
Yeah.
For fight, for the
Yeah.
biggest award that we give out.
Yeah, without a
There's
doubt.
no doubt that this young man deserves to be the fighter of the year.
With that win over Perez, that pretty much won it for
Without a
him.
doubt.
Guys, we did it.
He didn't even have
Woo!
to.
Made it through, and that's even because I got bronchitis. You probably heard a little coughs towards the end of the show. You got to forgive
Excellent.
me, but been battling some bronchitis. We have a couple more we want to give out. Our promoter of the year this year, hands down, definitely well deserved. STFC. They put on a lot of shows this
Activity,
year.
yeah.
A lot of activity and great fights. And then Anthony, we saved this one for last. You've been in the industry a long time. You've seen so many of these guys. Gogue as well will agree with me on this. You've been doing this for what are we talking about? What I don't even know how many years.
Since 2001.
A very, very long time, and you've just really
12 years.
been very instrumental in the boxing game down here. And we want to award you with the Boxing Service Award. Very well deserved, man.
Yes, sir.
You got me started.
Yeah.
You got me started. And again, I'm
I
not.
was at the Dodge Arena with
Yes.
Juan De La Rosa.
And again, I'm not giving you that award because you got me started. It's well deserved. I mean, Gogue and I both talked about it as well, and you've done a lot, and you've really paved the way for boxing down here. And you're the longest running promoter in the Rio Grande Valley. That says a lot.
And still running.
And still running. And you've done tons of TV
The whole
fights as
state,
well.
so we looked it up, and it's the state of Texas.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive, man. Again, it's an honor to be able to give you that award, Vinny, and I wanted to save that for the
Yeah,
end.
really
And
appreciate it. Thank you very much.
again, both guys here, first class, both of y'all. So, guys, thanks for coming in. Before we wrap up, Vinny, you got a couple of quick hits. I don't have any, but Vinny actually has some for us.
Yeah, I spoke with Fabian Reyes the other day. He has a fight coming up February 1st in Reynosa, Mexico. His opponent will be Ramon Becerra, and this is going to be his first 6-round fight. So it should be exciting. His opponent, Ramon Becerra, has already had a 6-round fight. So
He's what, 3-0?
he is 3-0-1.
Yeah,
He has one knockout.
Yeah, man.
And my other quick hit would be Hector Garza. He is from Harlingen, and he is currently being assisted by Lamar Wright, who has a reputation of trying to get fighters back on a winning streak. He's got a fight on February 2nd in New York. His opponent is to be announced, and Hector Garza. And we will keep you posted on more information as it comes in.
And always, you can go to our website, Vinny, and RGVCanvasWarriors.com for all the stories and stuff like that. Anything that breaks, we take pride in getting that out there. So, Gogue?
Oh, yeah, my gym. I starting a new gym in Mission. Mission Boxing Gym with the owner, Miguel Rodriguez. He fixed it up, put a ton of money into the gym. It's a 4,000 square foot facility, and I'm going to be training my guys out there. A lot of my guys going to come out there, and like I said, there's a lot of potential over there.
2013.
Yeah, 2013. Miguel Rodriguez, the Mission Boxing Gym.
Gogue, awesome. Anthony, anything else?
You know what? It's been a pleasure talking with you guys. It was a lot of fun, and well, hopefully, this year, Cavazos Boxing, I've already been contacted by Golden Boy, and I did talk with Top Rank. They want to do some TV fights, so hopefully we get several TV fights, and looking forward to working with some of these new prospects here in the Rio Grande Valley and move forward.
Nice. Vinny, anything?
I don't have anything else. Just go to the website. We have the stories on Goyito, and we also have the story on the title fights that STFC is putting on, and you can catch all the podcasts if you missed any of them. So please follow the website, and also, too, don't forget to vote for Fighter of the Month.
Last thing before we wrap up, guys, we're going to have all these stories on our award winners. We're going to have some in-depth, interviews with them, stories, stuff like that. Going to kind of get a little personal, we'll talk about, why they deserve this award, talk a little bit, get to know a lot of these people. We want to try to do that. And next week's show, going to be another long one. We're going to be announcing the MMA awards, the Mixed Martial Arts Awards. So We're hoping to have Teddy Lucio in here with us. As everyone knows, Teddy is a UFC cutman. Cutman for the UFC.
Cutman, yes.
You know him real well, Gogue. So we look forward to that. Fans, again, we want to thank you for bearing with us. We're at the minute 9 mark, and hopefully you're still there, and you didn't fall asleep on us or anything. But again, this was a special show, and we definitely wanted to recognize all of our warriors, all of our trainers, everyone that puts in so much hard work, in this industry. And this is just our way of saying, hey, thank you for all you do, and we want to reward you. So that's it for me, guys. For Vinny Davis, for James Gogue, Anthony Cavazos, Natron Means, as I like to call him, and John Cannon. We're out. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year,
next
everybody.
week.
Happy New Year, everybody.